Welcome back, beautiful souls. So today we are doing a reaction video from Reddit to ghost stories. Specifically the thread, people in the US military, what's the creepiest, most paranormal thing you have encountered during your service? The Fort Benning video did surprisingly well recently, kind of out of nowhere, so I was very pleased about that. And if you like these style of videos, I'll do them every so often. They're kind of a nice way to break up some of the research heavy videos. And I can pull and tell you stories from my own life and my own experiences. So let's get into it and see what we have here. All right, our first one is okay. Let's just go with the one at the very top of the page. So, U.S. Navy photographer here. In the deepest parts of the ocean, you will often steam past small boats that are empty or seemingly empty. Sometimes they look like they got loose and no one looked for them. Sometimes they look disgusting, like someone lived on them until they couldn't. And sometimes it's obvious someone is still in them, but they haven't moved for weeks. And the first comment here is, this is the most interesting and realistic and unnerving post in this entire thread, and I want more. Yeah, kind of agree. I do like the comment under it though. It's something I've never even thought about. OP, please have more info. And it is really interesting if you think about it, because ghost ship phenomena is something I think we've all heard of, but I don't know if people think of the modern ghost ship per se. I think maybe that kind of stops somewhere around the advent of the modern ship. So maybe 1860s, 1890s, as you have more like steam powered ships coming in as opposed to the wooden ships of the older eras. Yeah, it was really common to kind of see those as ghost ships or whatnot. So yeah, I don't think we think about modern kind of ghost ships. I know that kind of what he's talking about. Kind of is, kind of isn't. Um, when a boat breaks loose, it can float away, never to be seen again. The ocean's big, and most ships stay on known trade routes, so they can float for years before being found. We'll go right down to the next one. So, creepy at first, ended in a facepalm. I was a young sergeant in 2006, stationed at Fort Bliss. Right outside of Fort Bliss, there was a training area that was near Biggs Airfield. We were guarding some equipment overnight so the company wouldn't have to stay. It was me and one private. I told him we would take shifts patrolling, and since we were allowed to have cars out there, the other would nap in his car. I woke up to my soldier knocking on my window in a complete panic, and it scared me at first. Private. Sergeant, wake up, there's a UFO out here. What? Private points in the direction, and sure as shit, I see the lights that seem like they're floating around and disappear, and it took me a moment as I had just woken up. That's the Franklin Mountain Range. You're looking at the cars driving on the scenic route. The cars would be visible and then disappear when they went around the corner of a turn, only to appear again when they came back around. I was very agitated at first, but the next day it was by far the funniest experience I had in the military. Could you just imagine? Oh no! Like I could see in the, especially because your mind does kind of play tricks on you in the dark. I do. This gave me a chuckle. Trans Mountain definitely looks weird with the cars driving at night. I understand, dude. I live in EP and we get a lot of weird shit. What's a bad batch of Chico's tacos making you guys hallucinate? Okay, let's see. Is a dude vanishing spooky enough? I was on the rooftop on post with another Marine, and on the building next to mine was a dude smoking a cigarette. I looked to my partner to mention it, but when we looked again and he was gone. The roof access door to the building was very rusty and loud, so there's no way he snuck out in a few seconds it took to get my partner's attention. Yeah, that counts. That counts. Dude's just playing Assassin's Creed and knows rooftops are restricted areas. Let's see. My theory. He later sat down. Most roofs have an excess and are also built up about 12 to 24 inches past on the perimeter wall, mostly to serve as a primary gutter to keep the building facade nice. This would be enough to hide someone in the right position. If they're sitting or crouched and you're building a roof line a little lower, even better. This is what happens when the detection meter hits yellow. Dude fell off the building and was dying in the street while you wondered, whoa, he disappeared like magic. But, yeah, I would say that that does count. I mean, I know a lot of posts can be haunted and ghosts will come back to wherever they resonate with or whatnot, but would I maybe that was the most peaceful place they could be in. Like they just really liked the night shift, being able to sit up away out of everybody else's drama and just smoke. Maybe. I don't know. To me it does sound like a ghost, but the comments are absolutely fantastic. Oh, okay. A friend of mine went to Afghanistan and got stationed in an area that was used as a base by the Soviets. He swears that sometimes when he was on sentry duty, he could hear whispers that didn't sound like English or the local languages. He's convinced he heard Russian. So I've often wondered about this for foreign battlefields because obviously here in the US, if there's a lot of haunted um, Civil War battlefields, Gettysburg, I think, being one of the most famous ones. So I have often wondered what are the battlefields from World War One and World War Two like, and even Afghanistan and Iraq now, where no, yeah, where we were stationed for so long. Like, what are those battlefields like? So this, I feel like this kind of answers my question that it is entirely plausible that there are haunted battlefields, haunted posts. Um, so it is. I feel like this kind of does fall in line with that. Didn't the MythBusters do a thing about people hearing radio signals through their fillings or something? Yes, that was the Lucille Ball episode, and I think they debunked it as being real. I do remember that episode. The comments on this one are a little outside of my like purview. Um, Ask him if it was Finley Shields. I was an old Soviet officer's resort. I swear I had the same thing happen to me there. Got duded by Comrade Skeldovich. Okay, let's see. How about the next one? Let's see. One time at an Air Force base in the ROK, we had a power outage at night. All of us walked out of our hangar doors to take a see what the problem may have been, and we saw a very, very large triangular shape passing over our hangar. It was clear. It was a clear, moonless night previously, and when we went outside to look around, we noticed the starscape being covered and slowly uncovered. No sound associated with the event other than the normal sounds of the location. I'll never forget. Those have to be military of some kind. They're almost always seen near military bases. My sister saw one near Fort Bragg. Oh, that's interesting. Um, oh, wow, how trippy. I saw one in broad daylight. It didn't make a sound, and the only reason I saw it was because I happened to be laying down looking up at the sky. The triangular object was the same color as the sky, but it passed under a cloud, which let me see the outline clearly. Big old, slow moving triangle. Hmm. Oh, this is interesting. Yeah, holy smoke, I've seen the exact same thing here in Israel. My folks and I were chilling about 10 p.m., enjoying the cool evening, looking at the stars. They became obscured. The giant black triangle shape passed over, and I said, what the hell is that? We all looked, waved, haha, and it spotlighted the entire city block as if to say hello, or was it getting a better look at us? It made a quiet hum as it passed, then turned, moving west slowly. Okay. Ooh. All right. So this is from local. This is from Connecticut. So this I actually filmed this video, I think 5 to 8 times, and my camera kept crashing. And I had actually read this one before, and I'm gonna go back and do it again because I just being a Connecticut girl, and I think that if this is the one I'm thinking of, it was actually really funny. So, Navy. When I was in Groton, Connecticut for basic enlisted submarine school, I was roving the barracks at night. I was roving the barracks at night. There we go. I can read. I had a UI under instruction, so I was showing him the ropes, what to check and how to check. It was mainly fire extinguishers and secured doors, while on the second or third floor of the barracks there was a recreation room with a TV and chairs and a piano. Mind you, everyone was asleep and it was 0200 in the morning. Well, I decided to go and see if I remembered how to play the piano a little. We decided to continue to finish the patrol, so we started walking down the hall when we heard a single piano note go off. We both heard it while I was in mid conversation, so we kind of looked back and then we looked at each other to see if we both had heard the same noise. We shrugged it off as our imaginations running wild. But as soon as we got to the end of the hall and opened the door to the stairway, a sharp key note was heard coming from down the hall in the direction of the room with the piano. We left the floor as soon as possible and later shared the story with some shipmates, and they told us the story of of sailors that had died in the barracks. Died while playing the accursed piano. Um, you shake my nerves and rattle my brain. It's the piano from Mario. Well, maybe a mouse in the piano. Probably a mouse or a rat. No, I like the accursed piano. I honestly, when I first read this, and I still kind of think it, that when you started playing, I honest to God thought you were going to wake up the other people, and that they all thought that there would be like a ghost playing the piano. Okay. Let's see. One of my drill sergeants actually had a creepy story from one of his Afghanistan deployments. He was infantry, so being in the field and out on missions for multiple weeks wasn't uncommon. One night, while sleeping in a fighting position, he dug. He felt something nibbling at his feet. He woke up and kicked it off, and what he saw wasn't any type of marsupial, but a little humanoid figure he could only describe as looking like Gollum. Being in the field with little sleep, he chalked it up to just seeing things. A couple days later, he and another guy on watch, and the other guy pointed out something and was like, "What the fuck is that?" and pointed at a stone wall in the distance. My drill sergeant looked through this binoculars. I'm assuming it's supposed to be his binoculars. And crawling across the top of the stone wall was the exact little humanoid creature he encountered a few nights before. I'm kind of curious because I don't know much about Middle Eastern mythology. In the comments, could someone let me know what this thing is? Middle Earth, Middle East, close enough. Dirty American hobbitses. Sounds like the Afghan version of a brownie. So a brownie is from Irish folklore. They are helpful spirits. Um, Sometimes they're described as being like short, small beings covered in brown fur. Sometimes they're more elf-like. A brownie can turn into a bogart from like Harry Potter that haunts things and makes you hallucinate. But a brownie is considered basically it's a helpful spirit. Oh, this sounds like a ghoul. Borrowers of the Middle East. It's just a little cock goblin. I get up to shenanigans. All right. Former U.S. Coast Guard here saw a ghost and some creepy shit happened when we were removing the old Fresnel lens from the Presque Island Light in Michigan. Isle Light in Michigan. I'm assuming this is a lighthouse. Also, lighthouses are some they are some interesting places. There are a lot of things that happened in lighthouses. I have a video about a lighthouse in Maine. I will link here if you're interested. Um, Also seen some weird, creepy lights and St. Elmo's fire near the old. Ooh, I am not from Michigan, so the Wagoshans light compasses. And radios all quit. Radar and GPS wouldn't work either. The light near the Sturgeon Bay is haunted as well. And we stayed at the light near Two Rivers, and the whole family saw the ghost. There are several lights in the Great Lakes that are open to the active, reserve, and retired military members as vacation rentals. We stayed at Raleigh Point Lighthouse and the Sherwood Point Lighthouse. They have visitor logs that are like a diary, and multiple stories are in there about hauntings dating back to the 70s. I know the Sherwood Point is haunted. I know that Sherwood Point. Let's see. So you would say volunteering to watch over Great Lakes lighthouses might be a bad idea. Volunteer. Not to kill the mood, but a friendly PSA. There are actually several opportunities to be a volunteer lighthouse keeper around the Great Lakes, amping up the Scooby-Doo factor. Some are pretty remote and accessible only via hikes or boats. Okay, Fort Carson during Warhorse Strike 2015. It was the last day of a 2-week field program. We were all packed out and ready to go home, but couldn't do so until the next day because our good friends in the artillery battalion lost a pair of see-in-the-dark flavor MREs. Naturally, we were all out of dip, smokes, caffeine, and from our location could see our barracks near the helicopter field. One of our I'm retiring this year, fuck all of this E8 types who was fiending for some nicotine arranged a night patrol. We would do a nighttime tactical maneuver to Gate 20 where we would secure a target opportunity in the form of his wife slinging a few logs of Cutter's Choice and some great value edition Red Bulls and a couple of cartons of shitty Pall Malls or something equally as cheap over the gate for us to recover and be back before sunrise. Off we marched, fueled by addiction and boredom. For those at Carson, I believe it was TA7 along the road just beyond the north ridge of the impact zone running east-west. Now, this training area was our backyard. We did ruck marches and similar exercises here almost weekly in the night, day, and every time in between. We were not sleep deprived, and we were just waiting for artillery to unfuck their lives. And by all means, this should have been across the valley and get on the parallel trail kind of op. In the bed of this valley, there is a stream. It was early fall and it was largely dry, so sound carried and smell was dampened. The night was crystal clear, slim waning crescent moon, and pretty limited illumination. But hey, we had looky darkies on. Hold on, time out. Okay. The very moment we cross the stream, we are hit by the most repugnant smell. Oh, okay, good. Mic is still on. Not a skunk or a wild, unwashed animal, but the kind of smell that is only associated with meat gone bad. It's not uncommon to find a dead deer or the like out here, but we've been training in the area all week. There was nothing here the entire time, and this kind of smelled, so you wouldn't have missed it had you tried, like some advanced decomposition. We wanted our drugs, so we pushed on, writing it off as a dead animal. The forest surrounding the stream was about 200 meters across, only taking us a few minutes to pass through. Myself, being the other NCO in this party, was at the rear of the train to make sure nobody got lost in the dark. So I've been followed before. I hunt and enjoy being alone. When you get that gut feeling that something is watching you, there is no logical explanation. The trees obscured our vision to the rest of the unit, and I was at the rear of the party. When I look back, there's a pair, oh, Jesus Christ. There's a pair of gleaming eyes in my night vision no more than 10 meters away. Unfortunate or fortunate part, we had no live ammo, although I would not have wanted to explain that to the O-types. Equally unfortunate part, we had places to be, so we could not investigate. Bet your ass I hurried the fuck on out of there and scaled the other side of the valley. We also took the long way home so as to enjoy our spoils in relative privacy. Oh, I think there's a lot of things that could have been, and I don't, did it say, I don't think you said where you were. Fort Carson. I don't know where Fort Carson is. Let me see. Oh, it's Colorado. Right? Yeah, so you probably were dealing with some kind of mimic shit. And my light flickered when I was reading that. So I have a feeling I have a good idea of what it was. I'm not going to say what I think it was because I don't feel like having my tech go wrong again. I smudged this room before filming because I was like, if there are tech angels, whoever I have to pray to, please let this go well. So I'm not, but I would say that was some kind of very specific Native American spirit that you really don't want to mess around with. It could be a few other things, but that would be my guess. So here's someone else that has been, I guess, stationed at Fort Carson. Carson gets weird. I just hit my 5 and was out on a 5-day OPFOR, somewhere on range 60, I think. The whole FTX ended up where we were at, so we had the full battalion chilling where we were, just as pissed and rowdy as any infantry battalion can be. It was one of those weird, foggy Carson mornings when you can't see 10 feet in front of your face. We were left behind to load up the rest of the packs, MREs, because I'm assuming trans is transport, somehow came through for once. We were voluntold to stay behind to wait for the trucks and pack up all the shit. It was Top, myself, and my team. Top leaned against a tree and busted out his sleepy time juice and just just nodded off. That left my team just standing around waiting in the fog. The E4 comes wandering out of the fog dressed in BDU. This E4 comes wandering out of the fog dressed in BDUs with a 3 ACR patch. This was 2014, just slowly walking toward us with a weird ass smile on his face. The only words out of his mouth was, "Hey, you guys got a smoke?" And when given a lit one, he said, "Thanks, guys. See you around." He fucking turns tail and wanders back into the mist, completely disappearing. The specialist of the mist was creepy as hell and not of this world. Weird things happen at Carson. Ooh, were you at Polk? I have guessed up for. Interesting. Let's try one more. Okay. When I was deployed, we worked out of this ancient dock from the Vietnam era. I worked graveyard, so there was never any people there at night except mission essential. For any missions we were running, we would randomly hear footsteps walking down the small hallway that was a dead end. Our door was the last one right before the little bit that was the dead end. No one ever walked past our door, but there was always footsteps. One night there were wet footprints down there and it wasn't even raining outside. That to me sounds a lot like residual energy. That you, especially being so old, I would say that, yeah, I would say that you had something that sounds like a lot of just residual energy, especially if you're not seeing it. The footprints, though, is interesting. It could just be maybe right set of circumstances. Something showed up. Yeah, I would say that's kind of what it sounds like. It just I just skimmed through some of the comments and um, nothing there really kind of jumped out particularly as being either funny or helpful. Just the fact that the where he was from the Vietnam era, from one that the hangars were made out of. So to me, then does that to that sounds a lot more like residual energy, just the constant movement. You actually, depending, that's interesting because I'm wondering if it's also like an in between space. Because in the in between, you will get people that walk. You'll get spirits just kind of passing through. The wet footprints, drowning victim, to be honest, someone that was caught in the rain and died. Especially if the the platform itself came back from Vietnam. I know my dad was there. He talked about monsoon season, the rivers. So it is entirely possible that maybe someone drowned, someone was killed in the rain, um, kind of a lost spirit kind of situation. Could be something like that. But I hope you enjoyed this video, got a good laugh out of some of the stuff, and if you enjoyed this, we'll do a different thread next time. I and see what kind of trouble we can get into. So I will see you all again soon. Take care, and I wish you the very best, my friends. Bye.